Hello everyone, my name is Janmot and this video is my attempt to explain how Spectre and Meltdown work. First, Spectre and Meltdown is a CPU bug that discovered in the early 2018. This bug may allow hackers to steal your secret information from the working of your CPU. They are hardware bugs which make them very difficult to patch. These bugs affect most CPU made since 1995, so it is very likely that if you are watching this video, you are affected as well. Now you may wonder how Spectre and Meltdown work, so let me make an analogy. Imagine your computer is like a company. In this company there are workers, and there is this one secretary called Miss Kernel, and there is this document card called cache. During normal work hour, the workers call secretary to take their work and bring it to the boss to process. The secretary take the works, but before they are processed, the secretary will go and ask the boss if these process were legal. The boss will make decision that what process can be done and what cannot be done. During this time, there is one feature that modern CPU will perform. It is called speculative execution. You may heard of it in another name like speculative calculation, speculative evaluation, whatever. They are the same thing. The point of this feature is CPU will process those works in preparation because they speculate that if the previous work was done, then the next one should be something, and they process those works beforehand. After the secretary come back from the boss, she doesn't have to process the work. She just look at the result from speculative execution squad and choose based on the command from the boss which one were to be used. Then she returned the result of the processes to the workers. Now that was normal situation of everyday work. With that installed, we can start talking about Spectre, which is named after speculative execution and spelled with RE because, English always makes sense since the time of Shakespeare. This Spectre bug exploits the fact that speculative execution may process some work that should not be done. Although those results will be scrapped eventually, but there will be a race between the hacker to take that information off the cache before the result was scrapped. So let's look at this example. Say there are these processes. The first one is 2B because she always gives 2 sheets of paper to the secretary. And another one is process A, no need for any fancy name here. It's just another normal process. But there is another process called process H. They are all work together, and process H, like process 2B, is very consistent. This process H always posts 3 sheets of work, and of course, the speculative execution squad will take the work while secretary go ask the boss. They will be working on it like usual. And this happens time again and time again. Very consistent. So much so that the speculative execution squad start to think that the first 3 sheets of paper belong to process H. This is an exploitation of a feature called branch prediction, which is how speculative execution makes speculation in the first place. By maliciously crafting the work in such a way that it can mislead branch prediction mechanism, the hacker fools the speculative execution to work on the data that they should not be working on. And of course, after the secretary come up from the boss and see the result of speculative execution, they cannot be used. They will be scrapped. And everything will go on like normal. No one suspects anything. The hacker cannot see the result of speculative execution, but after a careful investigation, the hacker realized that if this execution unit get a bit 1, they can work on it with ease. However, if the bit was 0, this particular execution unit will be frustrated and spend more time working on it. With this observation, hacker can times the duration that speculative execution spend on a piece of data and infer the data from that observation. This technique is called side channel attack. It is how hacker can take information that they are otherwise cannot see. To make this work on Spectre, the hacker have to craft their codes so that the speculative execution will perform branch prediction wrongly, and that misled branch prediction will touch the sensitive information of another process. This is how Spectre bug can allow hackers to access secret information of another user process. Now it is time for Meltdown. Now this Meltdown bug is suffered by Intel exclusively. This is due to the implementation of the CPU itself. Let's say that Intel is very keen to make their process faster, so they invent a new type of cache, a bigger cache, a tougher cache. And to make everyone happy, the boss also used this cache so that the boss also gain the benefit of speculative execution. However, what could go wrong here is quite obvious. Hacker now can gain access to the memory of the boss of the company. This exploit is called privilege escalation. Usually, process cannot access these data. They don't have privilege to, but this exploit allows escalation of their privilege to access OS memory. This is why the bug is called Meltdown. It melts the security barrier between user process and the OS. And that was my attempt to explain how Spectre and Meltdown bug work. I hope it makes sense, and I hope that you enjoy watching this. It is quite difficult to come up with an analogy for everything like speculative execution, branch prediction, side channel attacks, and I do have to focus some details like flush and reload technique. Now before this video ends, I would like to, if I may, make a few suggestions. First, at the time of this video, the manufacturer of these CPUs are doing their best to fix this problem. They will release patches, which I encourage you to use them, although there are a chance that your CPU will be slower, because, if you think of it like the problem is speculative execution, so just shut it down. That could fix the problem, but it will slow down CPU. It is unlikely for consumer PC to be affected much, but for servers and other, large scale CPU users, they might suffer quite a blow from this patch. But it is much better than to have your secret data stolen by someone. And secondly, if you are planning to buy a new CPU or a new computer products like smartphones or notebooks, you may want to delay your decision for a bit, because if the patch slows down CPU, then you may not get the speed you hope to get when you buy that CPU, because the label hasn't changed, but the patch will slow down the CPU. So you may not get what you invest for. At least wait until the manufacturer has completed their migration away from the problem and that they have changed the label. I think we may need a new sticker, a new symbol to say that this CPU will not suffer from Spectre and Meltdown, and the speed that it was marketed for has taken the patch into consideration. Now that was all I want to say in this video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.